It's in chat already. Welcome back to the Building the Pride podcast. I am your host, Drew, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
Fantastic, Drew. How about yourself?
No complaints. As I said last week, I started my rehab for my back. That's going quite well. The exercises they prescribed have kind of loosened that stuff up. And to be honest, like now when I have to pick up my jeans off the floor or whatever, it doesn't hurt as much. So,
no tears. That's great.
I'm pretty excited about the whole process. It's got me optimistic, and that's usually not, where I live or whatever. So this has been good. Hey, it's Mark. Good job on the rehab. Appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. Oh, get well, Drew.
It's Donkey Kong. Shh.
Well,
he's incognito.
We know who it is.
I'm going to give a shout out to Joey, who tossed out opportunity cost at 10-6.
Yeah, Joey checks early. Yeah,
on top of it.
It's hard to top Joey as far as being first in chat. So,
yeah. Welcome, Joey, Dr. D, Mark, Funky, everybody, crew. It's getting back to school time, so that's fun. But it's also preseason time.
It is.
So, do we have any news and notes around the NFL at all?
Well, the one that I think there's two of them that I'll talk about real quick. I will. So this is kind of like as an example of like what my timing has looked like in my life. The Baltimore Ravens have been on a 24-game preseason winning streak. Like the last time they lost a preseason game was 2015. I started betting on the Baltimore Ravens to win in the preseason last week, and they lost for the first time in 8 years.
It's all you, man. Way to go.
It's hard not to think, okay, like what's different about this situation? Yeah. It's because I wanted to make money off of that streak. It had to come to an end sometime.
You should have started like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I should have. If you could go back to when you were in college and like do shit over, I'd be like, okay, it's 2015. I'm going to start betting on these preseason games, everything that I own. So
I'd be more investing in like Amazon.
Oh, you can do that too with your winnings from the betting on the preseason games.
Yeah.
Maybe gambling is not my thing. That's valid. I think that's a conclusion that all the evidence would probably point toward at this point. So, and then I think the other thing of note that's happened in the NFL is that the Colts have given Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade. And they are, apparently the Colts have come out and said that they are expecting a Christian McCaffrey-esque package for Jonathan Taylor. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a lot. Now, he's a good running back. And I could understand saying, like, we value Christian McCaffrey, or we value Jonathan Taylor around, what, we think that Christian McCaffrey was worth when he was traded to the 49ers. And if my computer would open up the browser just a little bit more quickly, I could stop vamping and then read to you what he was traded for. Okay. Christian McCaffrey was traded for a 23 second, third, fourth, and a 2024 fourth round pick. So 4 picks, a 2, a 3, and 2 4s, right? So here's what I think about that. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor, perfect.
I would say perfect.
But perfect that you found this and brought it up on screen. I don't know that I would say that Jonathan Taylor is worth that kind of draft pick compensation. But to be honest, my opinion is I don't think that there is a running back maybe outside of Adrian Peterson that is worth that kind of draft compensation. And that's when Adrian Peterson was like scaring linebackers into not trying to tackle him.
I was going to say, not like last year's Adrian Peterson.
Not last year's Adrian Peterson, clearly. But, like, I understand the Colts maybe want to either inflate the price so high that Jonathan Taylor feels like he's got no choice and there is no market and he has to come back and play for them, which he is under contract for. Reminder.
And we started 5 minutes ago.
That's right. It kind of defeats the whole point of it. So, or you find a trade partner that's willing to say, yeah, we value Christian McCaffrey. Maybe there's some team that's just flush with picks, and like they're like, yeah, we have a chance to add a top flight running back in the NFL, still on a rookie deal for at least another year, to our squad. Maybe we're in a position to push for a playoff spot or to make the conference finals or maybe even win a Super Bowl if we add a player like this, right? That certainly could exist out there. And I think the Colts are probably doing the right thing by saying we're going to set the market really, really high as a starting point, and then we'll come down if negotiations materialize. But I don't think that he's worth that.
Yeah, some of the other trades that they kind of had on there was, Shady McCoy traded for a linebacker. Trent Richardson in his second year? Like he only played 1 year, right?
He played 1 year plus. Yeah.
1 year. So 1 year and change.
I don't think that he got to 2 years. So
yeah. And they traded him for a first round pick, which was great for them. And that then now you're going back like almost 20 years to Corey Dillon, Ricky Williams, and Marshall Faulk.
The Ricky Williams trade should not even be discussed. Yeah.
No, and Marshall Faulk, that was 99. That was 24 years ago. This is a totally different football, NFL's game than it was 24 years ago. So I'm just looking at the other ones. Christian McCaffrey, second, third, fourth, in another fifth. I don't think he's going to get there. Could he get a first round pick? Maybe, but I doubt it. I'm guessing he's probably going to get a second. He could probably command a second rounder in next year's fourth or something like that. But I don't think anything higher than a second rounder. So if they're really waiting for a haul, he might as well, suit up because he's not going anywhere.
Right. And remember, the thing about Christian McCaffrey is he is half a wide receiver. He is a running back and half of a wide receiver at the minimum. Like Jonathan Taylor is a running back, right? There is Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor are not the same player. Now, Funky asked the question here. Arizona could cough up some capital, but should they? The answer is no, they shouldn't. Here's the but that I'll put on this question. Arizona has the best opportunity in the NFL, in my opinion, to get the number 1 pick in next year's draft, which is probably Caleb Williams. If they also get the second overall pick, because they own Houston's first round pick, and Houston is also presumably terrible. They're starting a rookie QB. They haven't had a lot of success in the last couple of years. It's not likely that they're going to.
Their roster is terrible.
Right. It's not likely that they're all of a sudden going to be like a 500 ball club, right?
Right.
Okay. So if Arizona walks into the 2024 draft with the first and second overall pick, well, you're certainly not going to give up one of those first round picks for Don Burr is making his customary appearance. Thank you, Don. Tip of the hat. You're not going to give up one of those chances at a top 5 pick for a running back in the current NFL. I just don't think that that's possible. But here's what I would say is possible. If you're Arizona and you walk into the 2024 draft and Indianapolis has had this poor season, Jonathan Taylor's been kind of hurt or disgruntled, hasn't played well or much, depending. They have no trades materialized, and they've tagged him going into the offseason, something like that. If you walk in with the first and second overall pick, right. So that's where I'm going, Funky. So if you walk in with the first and second, and you go Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., assuming they both come out, whatever. These all have to line up. Hey, Rumble.
So Rumble.
then I think it's okay to say, okay, promising rookie quarterback, promising rookie wide receiver. These guys, if they meet their potential, are all pros. Let's go out and drop a third right now and get a proven, still under 30 running back in Jonathan Taylor. We'll give you a third and a fifth, Indy. What do you say? You want to get the malcontent off your roster? Get back some draft capital. Let's move forward. You can rescind your tag. Everything's fine. That's the situation that I think would probably get Jonathan Taylor to Arizona. Anything before that is a mistake, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one thing to think about though is when you're looking at value. Yeah. Like I said, hey, maybe a second rounder, maybe a third rounder, but when you are the first pick in the second round, it is almost like a first round.
Oh yeah,
right. So in Arizona's case, second round is out of the question for me because that is essentially the 33rd pick of the first round, right? It's almost a first rounder. The third rounder feels like a late second rounder. I'm more okay with that. Right. So yeah, that's one thing to think about is where you're drafting in that each round matters. It's not just, it's a second round pick, because 33 is far different than 63.
Exactly. And so Mike, your point is so well received because, if I'm in season and I'm making a trade before the trade deadline and a team comes to me with a first round pick for one of my current players, I would much rather be trading with Houston or Indianapolis than Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a 25 pick difference every round, or whatever, from where they're likely to pick. Like those picks are more valuable based on a perception as to where the team's going to finish at the end of the year. And that's leverage, right? I mean, that's if I'm a bad team and I'm offering up my first round pick for one of your players in next year's draft, okay, you're going to have a little bit more leverage because your pick is that much more valuable than say a team that's like the Bills or the Bengals or the Chiefs or almost any other AFC team, right?
Well, think about how much extra value the Lions got with the Rams trade for when
oh my God,
the entirety of their roster got hurt and they almost we got the fifth pick. I mean, we were expecting something in the 20s, right? So there was a ton of extra value by having that. So don't trade away something that you already think is going to be high value just because the round number is a specific number.
Right, exactly. But yeah, that's all the news from around the league that I have paid attention to over the last week.
So have you, has anybody, chat, Drew, whoever, anybody watched, distracting me, man, that beard's just gorgeous. The Aaron Rodgers show on HBO?
No.
Has anybody, I'm curious if anybody's
seen it. I'd be
shocked
if anybody on the chat is watching Hard Knocks. Shocked.
You have to. I was rebranded. It's called the Aaron Rodgers Show, Drew.
See, that's exactly why. I just can't stand that motherfucker. So I don't want to watch anything that I'm gonna have to look at him, hear his voice. No thanks.
So I'm probably going to. I'll probably binge it, so I don't only have to ruin one of my days. But I will probably watch it strictly for the fodder of this just makes me hate him more. I doubt that there's going to be. Reinforces my dislike for him. I can't imagine there's going to be too much of a, you know what, I was wrong about this guy.
See,
but I'd be willing to bet I'm going to be I was totally right, and it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah, see, Funky and Rumble are trying to do you a favor right now. They're like, no, not watch 1 minute. It's a hard no for me. It should be a hard no for you, Mike. You don't need to deepen your dislike of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, eventually when you hit the bottom of the pit, you can't go any deeper. You've reached the depth that you can reach.
It's true. I am a sucker for behind the scenes stuff, though. Whether it's the extra content on DVDs and Blu-rays or shit like this, I am a sucker for behind the scenes. So
well, I'll stop over and drop off my extended edition Lord of the Rings package, and you can spend 13 hours on that or whatever.
That's cute that you don't think that I already have this.
I'm just saying, I tried to think of something that's
I've watched every single special thing on there, including all the different audio commentaries.
Oh my God. So crazy.
They're great. All right. So the other thing that happened since we last talked, we had a preseason game.
We did.
We got our asses handed to us.
We did.
Preseason, and none of our starters really played. So I guess, did you watch the game? What were your thoughts on what you saw?
So here's what I thought in a nutshell. Like, these are clearly the guys that they're trying to make a decision on. I want to see those guys go out and play, let's call it Detroit Lions football, right? Go out there and give it everything you have, leave it all out on the field, no excuses. Okay. They made mistakes. Very obviously made mistakes. Once again, I thought the defense played better than the offense. I think the offense played badly because it was A, Nate Sudfeld, and B, Teddy Bridgewater trying to put the system together for the first time, out there. So, like, didn't like watching it, wasn't surprised by how it went, liked how the defense played, loved how the special teams played.
Yeah.
So, if these guys, I don't know, like, I would imagine that in all three phases, special teams are the ones that's going to be as close to what you see in the preseason that you see in the regular season. It's going to translate at a higher percentage because it's largely the same guys. And I've loved the coverage on the punt returns. That's been amazing. I think we've got not just Khalif Raymond, but I think that we've got a bunch of good guys that can, like, actively field punts. And I've loved the blocking, and they haven't made mistakes. And, like, to be honest on that kind of stuff, what I'm really looking for is, like, if you can get a 10-yard return, like, you're starting to change field position.
Yep.
Based upon the average distance of a punt in the NFL or what have you. So, like, per PFF last year, the Lions preseason unit was first in the NFL. And I think that mattered to their record. So if you're going to do
the
things
field every time, or not every time, but like many times.
Right. And so, like, I think that it's overlooked that your special teams unit can put you in a position to dictate how the flow of the game. And, Riley Patterson, the news out of camp is that he's got a stronger leg, accurate. It's kind of coming together for him. If that's true, the kicking game looks solid. The coverage units have both looked good, and the punt return unit has been wonderful. So I'm very optimistic about our opportunity to continue to play special teams at an extremely high level. And then once again, I thought the defense outpaced the offense when it came to how well they played the game, and, like, these are the guys that are bucking for backup and third string jobs, and so I thought it was very good to see that. Now, we got drubbed, right? 25-7. I don't particularly care about the result of the game. I care about how they played the game. And I thought, Sudfeld's pick, Bridgewater's fumble, like, those things put the defense in a really unfortunate position. And when you're behind the 8 ball in the NFL, you really get taken advantage of. So I liked how they played. I don't necessarily think that, if the offense goes out there and commits 2 turnovers a game, you're going to see a Lions team that looks like the 1-7 start, as opposed to
kind of what we did,
right? As opposed to the 8-10, on the back end. So I'm hopeful that with Jared Goff and the ones in, the offense will take care of itself. The defense, top to bottom, I think looks like a stronger unit, and I don't think the special teams has fallen off. So I'm very optimistic heading into week 1. And here's the other thing that I'll say. Brandon Joseph needs to make this squad. Like, I didn't know who my guy was going to be coming out, there are guys that are going to make the team. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to make the team. He's not fighting for a roster spot, right? Like, the same thing is true for Brian Branch and Sam Laporta and Jack Campbell and all those guys. But like,
Right.
there's a possibility that Broderick Martin didn't necessarily make the team. Who knows? Or the kid from North Carolina, the wide receiver, the 7th round pick. But like, I'm rooting for Brandon Joseph, a UDFA, to make this squad. Like, I just think the kid is a genius when it comes to how he sees the game. And even though he went to Notre Dame, I want this kid on the team. And he's played well in both preseason games. I think he's doing everything that you can do to say, please don't cut me. I'm valuable. And like, yeah, he'll be your 5th safety. I don't know that you really need that. But like, if you want to keep a guy on the roster for special teams, Brandon Joseph seems like a dude that can do that.
What did you think about Teddy Bridgewater in his debut with the offense?
I think he looked like a guy that was like, you signed me last week, which is exactly what he was.
Yeah. I had 4 days to work with y'all.
Yeah. Now, like, he's a veteran and he's been in different systems in the NFL, but like, it is not realistic to say we signed you on Thursday, you're playing on Sunday or whatever the time was. So that kind of looked like a guy that was trying to figure out what the language that everybody was speaking in the huddle was. So
yeah,
it's the preseason. The result doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the experience that these guys go out there and have, and then when they make mistakes that they learn from them. And I think that's what we saw for Teddy Bridgewater. Plus, he's playing with like the 2s and 3s and 4s on the offensive line. Like, it was not Sewell and Ragdow and Decker out there. So I mean, like,
right.
Like, I think that it was problem stacked upon problem stacked upon no time for him. Yeah. So like, he gets a straight pass for me. Don't care at all.
Who really impressed me the most? John Kaminsky. He was a terror.
That guy is a beast.
I know you got Hutch, like he's your main guy, but let me be number 2. Like, I'm going to try to earn this because he has been killing it.
Yeah, it looks like he just wants to like physically and emotionally abuse who's ever across the field from him.
There's some sort of chip on his shoulder. I don't know if someone told him he couldn't do something and he's like, screw you, I'll show you. But like, he plays like a person who's pissed off at somebody, usually the person on the opposite side of him. And he's going to prove that he belongs and that he is worth keeping on a squad. He's worth starting. Like, he just seems like a man on a mission to prove himself, and he is killing it. I've been super impressed with him.
Yeah, I'm a Kaminsky guy. Like, he came back last season after like he had some damage in his hand. I don't remember what it was, and he played with a goddamn club on it for the remainder of the season. And it's like, it was very clear, like, oh, you need your hand to like grip and to, have it be a hand as opposed to a club on, a stump on the end of your forearm or whatever.
Jason Paul Pierre.
Yeah. Oh God. That was so gross. But like, with this guy's healthy, like, I think the problem in Atlanta, which is where we picked him up from, was, you're not going to play over Grady Jackson. And they had a couple second round guys that they were going to test out. Because I think Funky's like, I'm more confused as to why Kaminsky played so much than anything. I think they're trying to figure out the pecking order behind Aiden.
Funky, are you confused as like he should already be like assumed number 2 and we don't need to figure that out, or are you confused that you don't think he is good enough and why is he getting much time? Because there's 2 different we're just kind of curious what your expectations are, what your thoughts are on his performance and where he belongs on the list. And one of the things that we do all the time on this show is we look at analytics.
Yeah, we love it.
So I figured that we would take a look at the cumulative preseason for the Lions via PFF's grading so far. I love seeing Rodrigo up top. I'm thrilled Jack Campbell's up there. Like, we spent a first-round draft pick on him. I want to see him be worth a first-round draft pick. I was a little surprised to see Jalen Reeves-Maybin. This is his second or possibly even third trip with us. He's always been kind of a depth special, primary special teamer kind of thing. But Houston's up there. Pascal.
Whoa.
I did that specifically for you.
You skipped my boy, dude.
I know.
Look at, okay, so do me a favor.
Yeah.
Let's just real quick. Brandon Joseph, he had a 77 score. Look at the total snaps. 77 snaps.
Yeah.
That's not like I'm getting a 90 off of 10 snaps, bro. No, I played the whole game.
Yep. And that's over both games.
No.
Over 2 games.
Is it? Oh,
yeah,
it is.
This is for the whole preseason.
I see.
But still, like, when you look at the total snaps, he is third.
Right.
He's played the third most amount of snaps, and of those top ones, he is he's the best. Houston is the only one closest, but he's played almost 20 fewer snaps.
See, that's the other thing. Like 60 snaps in the preseason through 2 games isn't nothing.
Yeah.
And if he's going to play at a 79, I don't care where you play him, but he has to be on the field. He has to be on the field if he's playing at that level. Now, I know
and
that
even
this
like
is against...
Comiskey's at 74, right? So
I mean, look at this, dude. Blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. I mean, like, this is the thing. Like, a lot of these guys probably aren't going to play a ton of meaningful snaps. Like, Branch is probably a backup to start. Pascal's in a rotation. But Onwuzurike, is he in the rotation? Kaminsky, is he going to get a starting job? James Houston, are they going to have to play him? Because of the way that he's performed in the preseason. These guys aren't rookies. I mean, Branch is a rookie, but you got to get out there and you got to say, like, okay, like, if it's James Houston and Kaminsky and, like, where's Romeo Okwara? There he is at 15, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
like, decisions
one of the
made.
Things I saw on the rumor mill was Julian Okwara might be trade bait possibly to the Giants.
Fine.
Right. Get some assets for him. He's not he's not beating out James Houston or Kaminsky or Pascal or Hutch. It's interesting that we have so much actual depth on our defensive line, at least on the edge rushing side of things. All right, so let's see what Funky said there. So we just paid him here in the snaps last week, and him and Pascal will split time at defensive end. Neil and Levi will play DT. Martin and Bugs play nose tackle. Hutch and Okwara play rush. I don't think Okwara is going to do it.
So
I think he's outplayed Okwara.
I don't think that we're talking about Romeo, right? Not Julian.
He says our Okwara. But either way, I think he's outplayed both of them.
Yeah, I think for me, it would be Kaminsky over anybody else. I think Dr. Detroit's signing off here. He's going the farewell tour.
Right on. Thanks for joining, Dr. D.
If that's the case, have a great night. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Romeo is Hutchinson's backup. Okay, sure. I could see that. But
I guess maybe.
So, like, to me, the battle for the opposing edge rusher. Oh, no, he says, no, I'm good. He's here.
Okay.
He's all in.
We're glad you're staying too.
Yeah, chips in the middle. So, to me, the question is, and I know that, like, you could play Kaminsky and Pascal on the interior in certain lineups, right? But if we're going to start base nickel 4-2-5, to me it would be Hutchinson, McNeil, Kaminsky on one end, and then who's the other guy? Is it Martin, or are you going to go with Bugs? Because I would probably go with Bugs at this point.
Yeah, Bugs has played really well.
Right? And then I would probably have to guess it's Campbell and what's his name? Long hair. Anzalone. In the middle.
Fabio.
Yeah, Fabio. And then it's going to be Sutton, Tracy Walker, Kirby, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, And then who's the other starting corner on this team right now? Anzalone. Gotcha. I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
Anzalone. I like that.
Are we going to start Brian Branch at the other outside corner position? Because right now
outside or slot.
Well, he's listed as a cornerback, and you're not going to play Gardner at outside corner, right?
That's a great question.
I mean,
maybe Will Harris?
Shut up. Shut up. I know that wasn't
serious. I had to scroll down a ways just to find the damn guy.
Well, of course you have to scroll down the page. Of course you have to scroll down the page to find Will Harris. I mean, okay, so here's my question. Is Jerry Jacobs on this list at all? Did he not play? Why did Jerry Jacobs not play?
I don't know. Is he hurt?
I don't know. Like, I follow his Twitter, and I haven't heard anything. I refuse to call it X. I don't care. So,
take that, Elon.
Yeah, take that, you multi-billionaire. Yeah, that'll show you. I'll use my podcast to bring down your whole empire. So, exactly, like a Mr. Burns style. But I've not heard about Jerry Jacobs being injured. Yes. But I would think that it's either because Jacobs is CB2. Okay, so it's either going to be Jerry Jacobs, or if this Sutton is CB. Who's CB1 then? Sutton is very clearly CB1. I don't even know how there's an argument that anybody else could be CB1. Okay, so now he's changing his stand. Oh, he meant one. Oh, the two and the one are close together, so I accidentally hit the wrong button. I see how it is, Detroit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that probably the choice is between Jerry Jacobs across from Sutton or Branch across from Sutton. And I would probably think that it's Jacobs. You give the kid
Gardner Johnson as the slot corner.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's that hybrid linebacker, nickel cover. I don't know what it is. Question mark Flex. Position in the NFL or what have you. However, Glenn's going to use him, right? So Johnson is CB3.
Johnson. I'm drawing a blank.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson? Are we considering nickel? Are we considering nickel to be a safety or a cornerback position? Are we calling it a corner?
I would call it a corner. Yeah.
Right. If Mosley was healthy, he might be CB2, right? But he's not because he's on the PUP list, right? So I mean, I think that if you let's just say you're playing 5 DBs. 4 of them are Tracy Walker, Kirby Joseph, Chauncey Gardner Johnson, and Cam Sutton. That's so much better than it was last year. That's so much better. First of all, when Tracy Walker got hurt, he was playing at a really solid level. And then if you pair what Kirby became and you put Tracy Walker next to that for a whole season, that's real good. If Cam Sutton is just good, that's fantastic. And we know who Chauncey Gardner Johnson is. So you've got 4 of those 5 spots locked down. And how many were locked down last year? 1 or 2? I think that
locked down just in that they were assigned a CB1, CB2, but they were not good. It was Ikuda, or it was Will Harris was our CB2 or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. But we had nobody else, so he was CB2.
Exactly. So I think that we're saying the same thing. My point is that Kirby became somebody you didn't necessarily expect in his rookie season, right?
Yeah.
And then Tracy Walker was playing well before he got hurt, and we lost him for the season. So 1 or 2 spots were locked down, but 2 out of 5. Now it's 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5. We don't know.
Yeah.
To me, the shame about this roster, or as far as the defensive backfield is concerned, is that I would love to get Branch out on the field. I just would love to get Branch out on the field. And if it's something I hate to say this, but like he and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson are close enough to linebackers where I was like, can we maybe just go to a 4-1-6?
Well, so a couple things, with this is going to be the most depth in our backfield that we've had since I literally can't remember when.
Right.
Our level of talent just in the last year has risen dramatically. And not only did we increase the level of our baseline level of talent, we added depth. And most of the time you do one or the other. You either get better, but you don't have enough players to also get better at depth, or you are already good and you added depth. Not very often are you bad. You get better plus add depth to the quality that you're bumping up there. So I've been really impressed with the way that we've kind of done that over the last essentially 2 years, really last year.
Yeah. And this is what you want to see. Like so much of my life has been like, who is Jordan Dizon? I've never heard of that kid before.
Yeah.
On the roster for 2 seasons, or whatever. And like with this front office, okay, like the guys that are on the roster, the guys that are on the practice squad, the guys that are starters, like you're starting to see them like they're on the roster, they've been on the roster, you can see how they're developing, and they're still on the roster, and then you drafted some more guys and they're still on the roster, and it's not just this fucking turnstile of players that you just are like, well, we have to have a good draft class and go out and sign a bunch of guys just to have 53. Like this feels like we're developing and now we're making choices that are going to be the best players in each position to make this team a winner. It's nice to have seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy about it.
Well, one of the things that this does is, I think it does 2 things. Number one, it raises the expectations of what the defense can do just in general. Number 2, it puts a ton of pressure on the offense.
Right.
That was the reason why we didn't, and it was. I mean, our defense was even though they were, I think, 10th in the last 6 games or something like that, seven games, they still ended up in 32nd. Like they were that bad for that long. So I think that they were a good chunk of the reason why we didn't make the playoffs and didn't do anything. Now that shouldn't be the case, it's going to put a ton of pressure on Jared Goff and the offense, because if we still don't get the playoffs, he's gone. I don't think that there's any chance that he sticks around if we don't make the playoffs.
Okay. He's under
unless our defense completely implodes, right? But if they go back to, we have all these guys and our defense is still 30th or 32nd or something, that might buy him a little bit of leeway. But if our defense is even close to average and we don't make the playoffs, or we disappoint in the playoff, maybe we get there and we lose the one playoff game or whatever. I think those are the kind of things that are going to put a ton of pressure on Jared Goff to do what he can, because otherwise he's just gone.
So I heard the funniest thing on Twitter this week, and it was someone replying to a tweet, and the reply was the original tweet was from somebody. I have since blocked the account because it was so stupid that I didn't want to hear anything from them ever again. And it was the NFC North rumors or something like that was the Twitter handle. And it said something like, if the Lions don't come out of the gate quickly, Dan Campbell is on an awfully short leash to prove that this team has, quote unquote, turned the corner, and the Lions could be in line for a new head coach. And I thought, bullshit. You are saying nonsense just to get upset responses. And so I was like, I'm going to go from the retweet into the original tweet. I'm going to click on the account from the original tweet and block user. So I don't need that in my life. I don't need a bunch of made up nonsense just to generate clicks and likes. I do a podcast for that. So,
by the way, comment, subscribe, right?
Yeah. We got to get that self-promotion out there. But there's no way There is no way. If the Lions go 0-5, Dan Campbell's totally fine. So,
well, it also will come down to what was the reason.
well,
right?
What?
Did our defense give up 40 points a game? Well, you know what? Campbell's fine, but AG, he's gone, right? If our offense scores, 6 points a game, unless Goff is hurt, Goff is going to be gone, right? Like it's just he'll be replaced by Teddy Bridgewater if that's the case after the first 5 games if they're 1-4 or 0-5 or something like that, and he's healthy, and it's the offensive fault. So it's not going to be Dan Campbell under almost any circumstance.
I would be completely shocked.
Yeah.
And then to be honest, like let's say that did happen. If it's not here, Ben, here's the whole team, son, and here's your 8-year contract. Like, I'd be amazed. Anyways, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a request in chat.
Yeah,
will we be talking about JMO at any point? Hadn't planned on it. Here's what I'll say about Jameson Williams. I want to see it from this kid, but now I have another reason why I'm not going to, and that's that he pulled a hamstring. That's true. That's a good point, Funky. But I don't think that the Lions are going to go 0-3, 4, 5 games this season. So I have a hard time believing that. So I have a hard time believing that Campbell's anywhere approaching a hot seat. But
the first 4 or 5 games are the toughest stretch. The beginning is the toughest stretch for us. But I don't think we're going to go over. Right. We're going to go 0-1. I'd probably put money on that one.
I would probably put money on the Chiefs winning that game. So, okay. Jameson Williams, the hope for me after the suspension was we've got all of preseason to feed him however many reps that we can get him out there, right? And so in that first game, he got 50 reps.
Yeah.
The whole game, basically, right? Okay, good. Let's go replicate that in game 2. He pulls hamstring. So here's my fear about hamstrings is that they don't necessarily always go away. Like that's one of the most repetitive soft tissue injuries that someone can have. So here's my thing. Now, having this happened, just make sure that hammy is 100 because I do not want it to be game 7 of the season. JMO's finally going to get his, what I would consider to be the start of his career.
Yeah.
And he pulls the hammy again. I just don't want
the second half of his rookie season, essentially.
Right. So now we will have gone injury, year 1, suspension, hamstring injury. Is he going to get 6 games at the end of the season?
Yeah.
That's what I don't want.
Just get healthy. Get healthy, strengthen that hammy up, strengthen everything up, and come out as a burner in week 7.
Because at the end of this season, I think that you have to have some kind of idea like we understand what this kid is going to be in the NFL, how we're going to use him, right? Like the remaining 11 games that he's eligible to play for this season, if he plays in those games and he's healthy, I think that the question mark that is Jameson Williams is, who is this guy in our offense? Who do we think this guy is? Is he a 1? Did we pick up a 1? If he's a 1 in the current NFL, you've got St. Brown, they cut Mims, right? So we're trying. Marvin Jones is probably that number 3 this year. Who's the other guy? Because I don't view Marvin Jones as a starter for most of the teams in the NFL. So
he only put up 400 yards last year, something like that. I mean, he didn't really get much.
Right. So to me, one of the things I was kind of hoping for out of the Jack Campbell pick was a Jordan Addison or a Jackson Smith and Jigba or somebody, that could be the number 3, and, play opposite JMO. And I think the problem with all this missed time, and we knew about some of the missed time. So I have a hard time holding year 1 against him, but the problem now is the clock is ticking, and it's kind of like, okay, the clock's ticking. We can handle some of that. Like we can give up the first quarter, or whatever to figure this shit out, and then we can
We won't like it, but we can,
right. And now it's like, okay, now it's the second quarter, and it's like, ooh, okay. Yeah, are you thrilled with Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds at all? I mean, like, I understand having Khalif Raymond on the team primarily for his special teams role. Fine. Is he a good sixth, fifth or sixth, whatever, fourth or fifth wide receiver? Sure. Do I want my fifth wide receiver to play? No. No. That means
there's 5 wide formations. The one play that we do that a game, right?
Okay, we're going empties. Everyone run 9 routes. Let's Aaron Rodgers this at the end of the game. Fine, let's get him out there. But like, am I irritated? Yes. Am I? But let's examine my irritation, right? Because that's what Dr. Detroit is saying. It's like, cool, everyone is as irritated as I am. I am irritated that there has been this much time missed. I'm irritated that it's been one injury and now this injury. But when I look at it, I'm like, we knew he was hurt and probably not going to play much, if at all, year 1. Okay, new expectation. Year 2, kind of a bullshit, suspension. I think a lot of us would probably say, right? Like, place the bets at your home. Now, like, it turns out that like the Lions and maybe the NFL didn't really roll out the old education carpet for telling people not to bet on sports. And then you kind of have to, right, exactly. So it's like, you kind of have to rely on like common sense. And then I'm like, he's 21 years old. So I didn't have a ton of common sense when I was 21 years old. I was still in college. So year 2 now he's suspended for a third of the year. Okay, we've got the preseason. Well, he pulls a hamstring. That sucks. People pull hamstrings in the NFL. It just sucks more in this case because it was like, we can't seem to get this guy started. No matter what we do.
For me, the biggest disappointment is the fact that, how do I say this appropriately? Jared Goff needs to spend a lot of time with someone to build a rapport before he can be successful with them. Right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, he didn't really kick off until about week 6, his rookie year. Finally got built that rapport, whatever. The whole thing with J-Mo last year was, oh, well, they haven't really worked together. He has to build chemistry. Goff is a guy that needs to spend a lot of time with someone to build that chemistry. He can't just go into an offense, go into a new team, or whatever, have a new player come in and just have it happen almost naturally. There are quarterbacks out there that can do that. He's not one of those. And I'm mostly disappointed that we're missing some opportunities to build that chemistry, so that's not an excuse starting week 7. Because that was the excuse the entire last 6 games of the season. He only had 1 catch, it was for a touchdown, awesome. He wasn't in much. Well, it's because he doesn't have a chemistry. I'm like, well, this is our time to build that. And that's what I'm mostly disappointed out with J-Mo, is just not being able to do that.
Right.
And yeah, I did look up Marvin Jones. He had a whole 529 yards and 3 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, I'm like
46 receptions.
I'm not trying to disparage Marvin Jones.
No, I mean he was good for us. He's clearly on the downside of his career. He's been in the league 10 years now. 11, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He's a veteran.
8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, this will be his 11th year. So, yeah, I hope you're wrong. I hope we're both wrong, but I think you might be right. There's going to be an excuse of chemistry as to why it's not happening, and it'll probably be a mix of both as the real reason as to why it's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like, things could have, okay, so let's just worst case scenario this right now, right? Let's say he just doesn't end up being a player that works out. Like, okay, that would be unfortunate. But how bad is it really? Right? Like, this team did what it did last year on offense without Jamison Williams.
All right, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question comes from Joey at 5:51 p.m.
Right. It's
opportunity cost, right?
Understood. However,
I had to bring it. I mean, Joey.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, and Joey, it would be nice if he was here, but
yeah,
to join in on this, once again, the opportunity cost argument.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with opportunity cost, right? This is opportunity cost in hindsight.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, like, this isn't like the choice is on the, do I call with Jax and I might be behind, or, I could be up against Ace King and win a race. Who knows? Bad analogy. I'm not very good at it.
Terrible analogy.
Thank you.
That is not good at all.
Okay. But, like, here's the situation, right? Like, let's say he doesn't work out. It's not like it's hard to replace wide receivers in the current NFL. You could arguably say that we're reaching market saturation on wide receivers at this point. You're going to start to see their value go down. I think that that's likely. Now, I'm not talking about Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson. I'm talking about, like,
average,
the rank and file,
and even slightly even above average, just not elite, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, would it be a shame? Yes, it would be a shame. Would it be team breaking? No, it would not. Now, I also think that it's very likely he gets healthy, he learns from these hiccups, comes back strong. But, like, once again, and like, this is my argument for rookie quarterbacks, you got to get these guys on the field. Like, it's in-game, real reps that's going to make the ultimate difference to these players, how they're going to perform in their careers. And so, like, getting him on the field is of paramount importance because that's where it matters. So,
all right. So I want to transition to one other thing before we cut her off in 10-ish minutes, maybe more. I don't know. We like chatting. Preseason week 3. We're only doing 3 preseason games. They cut the 4th one out a couple years ago. None of the cuts happen until after week 3 because we go from 90 all the way down to 53. What are we looking for in game 3 as fans? And then also, like, what do you think Campbell, Ben Johnson, and AG are looking at? What do they want to see? What do we want to see as fans? What do you want to see as a fan?
I'll tell you
other than no injuries.
Nope.
Always no injuries. But other than that,
the only thing I care about. That is the only thing that I care about. I care about this team being healthy for as long as fucking possible. Nothing else matters. I don't care about the score. I don't care about the strategy you're trying out. I don't care about the position battles. I don't care. I care about exactly one thing in the preseason, and that's people not getting hurt. Everything else is secondary. Now,
no, that's secondary.
Right. The only thing I really care about is that the defense keeps playing well.
Right.
That's it. I want to see everybody on the defense ball out as hard as you possibly can. End of sentence. That's it. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think the special teams are going to be good. I want the offense. I want the defense to get better. I want my job is on the line, chip on my shoulder, cliche, whatever you want to do to fuel these dudes top to bottom so that the cut down to 53 on the defensive side of the ball is the hardest thing this team has to do in roster building. I want it to be so difficult to cut that third string edge or that second tier linebacker that you're saying, like, what, really? But the guy played so well. Why wouldn't he be on the team? Here's the thing that I think. I think these, like, position battles for, like, wide receiver is a joke because you're going to start with Jameson on the suspension list and you're going to carry one extra dude. And everyone's like, oh, it's Dylan Drummond or the kid from North Carolina or the guy that I would keep, Costa.
Oh, he's played so well.
Right?
Fine. I'm like, that didn't sound Chase Cota, you're thinking, right?
Chase Cota. But, like, Chase Cota will never see – he will see 4 snaps a game that aren't special teams plays.
Yeah.
And like if there's an injury, God forbid, knock on wood, salt over my shoulder, whatever, he might get in a game and see 10 plus snaps. But the thing that I think is the most relevant to the regular season is defense keeps playing their absolute hearts out. We figure out what the pecking order is. No one gets hurt.
Yep.
Don't care about anything.
I'm basically in the same camp. Unsurprisingly, or maybe surprisingly, we don't always agree. When it comes to roster battles, I'd like to see Coda keep going. I'd love to see him make the team. I think that we need to figure out who is our tight end two. Right? What is the depth on tight end? Is it?
Yes.
Is it not James Mitchell?
Steak dinner.
I'm not gonna bet on that one. I don't necessarily believe James Mitchell steak dinner quality belief, but
sure.
I think we need to figure that one out. I think that's the one that's kind of up in the air. The other thing that I think is relevant is our offensive line depth. It did not look good. Either this last game especially, I thought looked really bad. But there were a couple of guys that stood out that actually played well. So I'd like to see those guys continue to play well and provide us that depth for the regular season. Because if Sewell goes down or Decker or like any of these guys, like we have a great offensive line. Barry Sanders is probably super jealous of David Montgomery and those guys because he never had the kind of quality line that we've got right now. I want to make sure that if one of those pieces goes down, we have somebody that can fill in and not be this giant drop. Because otherwise we're going to have a season like the Rams had because they lost person after person off of their offensive line, which granted wasn't as good as ours to begin with. And it was a shit show for the entire offense. Stafford was running for his life. He ended up getting hurt because he got sacked so fucking much. They couldn't have a run game. Like, it wrecked their offense. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's that Goff would be able to handle a really poor offensive line.
No.
So to me, that's critical to our success.
Few teams can. Like, I think that we will have better depth, but I still think that if a starter goes down, it's going to be a noticeable difference. I don't know.
Yeah. Especially
I don't know how it can be otherwise.
On the tackles for sure, but I think our guards, like if Vaitai goes down, I think one of these other guys, Iwasaka, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I apologize to Coyote Iwasaka. Awosika?
Yeah, I don't think he's making the team.
He's played well. Yeah. He's played pretty well.
Okay.
Matt Nelson's been kind of like this swing tackle. He can kind of play anywhere. Like, I think those guys could fill in at guard behind a Vaitai or something like that, and it won't be that big of a drop. I think our tackles, if either one of those go down, that'll be a big drop. So
to me, you got your 5 starters, and I think the next 3 backups are Ifedi, Glasgow, and what's the other guy? Matt Nelson. And I don't think if they keep a 4th, it might be the guy that you say, but there's like 5 guys. There's literally like 5 other players on the O-line that they could keep, and like I think that they'll have those guys on the practice squad, but like I don't know I wouldn't be surprised if they kept 9 offensive linemen. Like Cecil had a rough outing. I think Bobby Hart gets cut. Sorsdale's the rookie.
Yeah.
So maybe he makes the 53. They cut Ibrahim. He's hurt.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think they tried to put him on the practice squad, didn't they?
Yeah, Joey, you're right. Well, he has to go through like 2 steps of like, he has to like clear waivers and then some kind of medical designation, and then they can do it.
Oh, gotcha.
But like Galvin, Piersbacher,
I think it'll be Svoboda and Nelson are probably the 2.
Yeah,
and possibly Piersbacher as a 3rd.
Yeah, maybe. Paulo, he's not making it.
Maletti. Easy, like, didn't step it up. I was hoping he could. I grew to like him through Hard Knocks, and I was rooting for him as a person. And I was really hoping this year he'd step it up and be that swing tackle, the guy that can fill in. And see, like, his grades are not particularly great. And granted, he only got 30 snaps, but when you're looking at this kind of stuff, who would you rather have? A guy like Swoboda, who's had really good things, or Easy?
Neither one of them. In all honesty, neither one of them. And so my quarterbacks would be Goff, Bridgewater. I would keep Martinez until you activate Hooker. I would cut Sudfeld.
Yep.
I would keep your five starting linemen: Glasgow, Effetti, Nelson, probably Sorsdal. There's my 9. I'm not keeping any more than that.
Do you think Glasgow's going to back up Vaitai?
I think he's going to back up Ragnow primarily. But yeah.
He's not a center, is he?
He's can play guard. Center. He played center at Michigan, but he's primarily a guard. But I think that if one of the 3 interior linemen get hurt, Glasgow's the first guy in.
Gotcha.
Doesn't matter which.
I think that he might, and maybe they won't just because of salary, but that shouldn't matter. He might actually beat out Vaitai for a guard spot. But maybe they won't because they may need him to swing in for another different injury or something, keep him fresh.
Yeah. Once again, I just want people not to get injured for exactly what this conversation has discussed.
Yep. Well, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up too. Like, what's our depth look like in some of these key areas?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was all I had on the list. Did you have anything else on the list?
I have nothing else to add.
All right. We did debut our Discord server. We haven't gotten any feedback on any people wanting to do fantasy football. So we haven't started anything like that up. But if you're interested, the link to the Discord server is right here. I also put it in the show notes, and I threw it in a couple of the different Facebook groups that we're a part of. So feel free to join. It'll be a lot of fun. I saw someone, T-Maz, popped in earlier today.
Oh, he's from one of the Facebook groups. So
right on. Yep. So yeah, it's cool. And then if you're interested in fantasy football, let us know right away, because the season's going to be starting in 16 days.
So that's the thing I love about Mike, right? Mike will be like, boy, I hope that car doesn't hit me. And the car is way down the street. Right. And then Mike's like, boy, I hope that car doesn't hit me. And the car gets closer and closer and closer. And then the car will be literally an eye blink away. And Michael will still be like, I hope the car doesn't. And then the thing runs him over. Right. That is the fantasy football thing this year.
I'm giving it a go. We got 16 days. We need more participants.
Yeah, we only need 8 more participants and we'll be all set.
Minimum of 6.
Sure.
Although my son said that he'd do it. So
which one?
Danny.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, come on. We can talk so much shit.
I'm out. I'm not doing it.
Oh, come on.
I'm not doing it if Danny's doing it.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I'm not going to do it. He's
going to beat you again.
When pick 32 Danny over here decided he's just going to take the joy out of everything that I love. So I'll still play.
All right. So anyway, join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We got a bunch of different channels on there. We've got game day chat channels, just general Lions, breaking news, memes, you name it. We've got it. So that'll be fun. Other than that, I got this one scrolling today. Check that one out.
Nice.
Yep. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m.
What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about next week, Mike?
I would assume we're going to be talking about preseason game 3, and then I'm not sure if it's going to be just before or just after cuts.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know what the timing's going to be. So
NFL
that would be
cuts.
Super cool if cuts have happened and we can talk about them. Maybe what we should do, Mike, is regardless, of cuts, we should put together our 53-man rosters.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, let's do that.
August 29th is cut date.
Okay.
You know what that is? It's a week
That's
from
the same
today.
day. So we might have it by 7 p.m. Technically, the 29th goes all the way to midnight.
It is 4 p.m. Eastern time on
Oh,
the
we'll have
29th.
it.
We will have cuts.
We will
so
have
that's what we will be
cuts.
talking about.
Can't wait.
Preseason game 3. We'll build our roster before that, and we'll kind of do a compare and contrast on what how we did.
All right. Sounds
Awesome.
good, man.
Appreciate you guys for joining in. Drew, it's always nice to talk football. And we'll see everybody in about a week.
See you guys.
Peace.